And this is going to be a big one because I think after binging so many by the pill videos and being told how I am or generalized, I just feel like the need to explain how a person like me is made and to reemphasize that like I exist, which I know I'm an outlier, or maybe I'm not. It's just the result of too many videos is making my head dizzy, and it reminds me of when I used to blog as a teenager and how you could scroll down your dashboard and all the posts would begin with I and just talk about the most depressing feelings and the anxieties. And I don't think your brain really can separate individuals that well. So when you're constantly reading, like, I had the worst day at school, I just want to kill myself, I hate everybody, I hate my mom, I hate my dad, nobody likes me, you subconsciously take in that narrative and you forget where you begin and they begin. And I feel that happening with me, or how that can happen if you listen to this red pill content constantly in the second person and you're being directed towards as the subject. So when I watch these videos that are like, you chose this woman, you wanted to get the degree, you wanted to be independent, you go to clubs, you're addicted to Instagram, your thoughts, you sleep with anyone, and I'm someone that has never been to a club. I don't even like Instagram. I only just recently started using it, and actually, one reason why I just felt like archiving everything is because I put up a picture which wasn't promiscuous, but it was a bit more attractive than my usual content. It was just me wearing like a shirt with some emphasized chest because the shirt fabric's tight, and pouty lips, but I naturally have pouty lips, and I got a lot of likes on that. Well, compared to my usual content, and I only have like 38 followers. They're people I know or know of. So just that response kind of turned me off because it reminds me of how we grade confidence or see confidence or view confidence in these ways where women, when they do show out more and they do kind of seem seductive, that is praised by other women as well because that's viewed as confidence and, cuntness and like the ultimate woman is just like super hot. So when you look super, super hot, then that's when you get the attention. And that's something that I've really fought against because something that I've paid attention to is like young celebrity girls. Now they're totally ignored until they really start showing out and like wearing less. And then people want to stand them. And I find that so insulting as a woman to think that girls don't matter to anyone, including other women, until they reach this like sexual awakening and until it's publicized. So as someone that's never used photos for this kind of validation, when I put that up, even though I am a grown woman, it just felt like I wanted to archive it because I didn't want to approve of the attention or validate that this is something that should be validated. And it kind of shows like other people's value in me as well and how they would view this picture as being more honest or confident in self than other pictures where maybe I'm just happy and I've had like a good day. I'm already losing track of like everything I want to talk about. But yeah, like I haven't used Instagram like that. I don't drink. Well, I rarely drink. I don't enjoy it. I've tried to enjoy it. I probably had less than 10-15 drinks in my life. And I didn't even start drinking until I was like 24. I don't smoke. I've never done drugs. I'm not like addicted to social media. I don't lead people on. Like, I don't follow influencers. Just all this vapid stuff that men make the worst individual. I've never dyed my hair a color that wasn't natural. I've only dyed my hair twice. I only have my ears pierced. I have one small tattoo. I don't take any pills. I'm not on any medication. But obviously, I have some kind of like psychological difficulties with my family, or because of my family. But other than that, and my inability to, I don't think I'm smart enough to get like one of those degrees that matter. I'm sorry. Or if I'm smart enough, I would need more time because I struggled getting through like algebra 2. Like, I don't want to be a person who makes excuses, but I also don't want it to be like, oh, like anyone is smart, like anyone can achieve anything. It's just like you aren't doing it because you don't want to. You know, maybe I'm just not math inclined. Can't that be fine? Yeah, and I was never a careerist. It was just growing up with a single mom. You kind of just see that you have to take care of yourself. And when you all have different dads, and none of them are kind of around, or none of them are masculine enough to take care of you, never mind take care of all the children, including the ones that aren't yours, like take care of the one that is yours, then you easily go to school and you learn that after school is a job. And I think school right now is, it's not a matter of teaching women they can only work, but it's also teaching men that what jobs to work. So everyone's kind of being taught bullshit jobs. And, you know, viewing my family, even the aunts that were and are married, they've always been masculine. My family has a lot of masculine women. Even if they're stay-at-home moms, they're not nurturing and comforting. No one was ever like a beautiful stay-at-home mom that was like cozy. It was very strict. I remember being scared of most of my aunts because, you know, they would cook and clean, but they would be so neurotic about it or just mean, or there was some kind of like mean-spirited that was just like, get out of the way, like, don't sit on the couch because you'll mess the couch up, like everything has to be perfect, nothing has to be lived in. It just, they weren't very warm homes. So I just never got the sense that I could be a stay-at-home mom. And when you come from a family like mine where it's so fractured and you see that, you know, my mom and all the dads, it's like the combination of 5 adults don't have enough money to buy a house or to take care of anything. You just have the understanding that you're on your own. So I've never dreamed of like a career, really. There were jobs that I wanted, or I dreamt more of activities than like rising the ranks and being like a strong feminist. And when I graduated high school, I got a part-time job and I became a full-time student. That was a lot on my plate at once, and nobody in my family has graduated college. My mom got her GED. Like my sister got her GED. I think my sister got pregnant when she was 16. So I think my younger brother got his GED. Like out of the family, only 2 people actually graduated high school the, you know, quote unquote like proper way, or the full-time way. And yeah, that was a lot on my plate. That was too much difference. I think that was like it was good because I got job experience when you should get job experience, instead of, you know, a whole bunch of like passing your teens and like having your first job when you're 22. But it was also just a lot on my plate that was new that I didn't have anyone to help with. I couldn't be like, I don't think I even discussed what degrees I should get. There's never been any practice. like practical advice, I feel like, for me. But there also hasn't been like much romanticism or encouragement in like my fluffy thoughts, like, oh, you want to be a writer, so we're gonna put you in these like writing activities. It was always just like a compliment, and then like, oh, she'll just like take care of itself. Like my life would be fulfilled magically. Both of my parents were like this. They never really encouraged or discouraged me about um, my personal interests. You know, maybe some practical stuff, like my mom just like instructing how to clean a room and stuff like that, and brush your hair and stuff like that. But yeah, when you know that you have to take care of yourself, of course you're gonna keep working, and you're not thinking, oh, I'm turning masculine and I need to be feminine. You're not thinking about a relationship, or I wasn't thinking about a relationship because I saw how my mom's decision had been so destructive, and my sister having a baby when she was young. It's just like I shouldn't even be looking at that, because I shouldn't even be looking at someone, because that's just that's like a risk. Like, in order to avoid the risk, you just avoid the entire probability, which means like not looking at men. And then I dropped out of college because I was just depressed and I couldn't finish classes, so I was like, it's better to drop out instead of getting terrible grades and like a bad GPA. So of course I kept working because now I needed to support myself for, I remember not having money for anything that I liked. I knew my mom wouldn't be able to buy it, so I had to work to enjoy myself, and then I had to continue working to pay rent. So there's just a very short window of opportunity right there where you have to be blessed in order to get everything done, I feel like. Otherwise, you just immediately start doing things backwards. So that's why I've kind of been walking backwards. And it was never a thing of you chose a job and career over marriage or a relationship. It's always been like I had no choice but to have a job to support myself, and I never looked at a relationship because I never saw anything that looked satisfying. And it's not even a matter of like a dream life or a fairy tale. It's just the basic warmth and the basic care and just joy. Luckily I've never been, or most recently I've never been sexually abused. I think I groped while traveling this year. I don't think that's happened before, but yeah, I haven't been around abuse, and there are like some instances of violence. Well, yeah, some instances of violence. I don't know how much abuse to say. I have been like physically assaulted by my brother, so maybe I can't say that, but I think for the most part, um, it's just always been like psychological because of the financial stress and the familial relations. I can't remember the woman's name right now. I think it's like Katie Faust or something. She's against abortion and against IVF and surrogacy, and I think like divorce. She talks about family, and I've been listening to some Jesse Lee Peterson, and he talks about the family too. And it's kind of realizing, or that has validated my uncomfortableness with my family, and just feeling that we've never been a family, because if that's true, I think a family is a man and a woman and their kids that share their DNA. And I think by having a single mom and having only half siblings, I always knew that was like wrong. And I think like biologically, there is something to that not being safe. I've never really felt like these people are my siblings. Just because we grew up together, we're all so different, and we have enough age difference that it just has always felt more like we're all individual, like only children. there is an emptiness when you don't have a sibling that shares both parents. Like, I've never felt like I've been able to compare myself to anyone because I am the only person in the world with my combination of DNA. And because we're so different, it's almost like none of us come from our mom. And I think that's like where my first fractal of, there's like some fractalization in me that, you know, maybe there's a disorder term, or maybe it's just like chronic introspection, like I say. But when you don't have like solid foundation, even when I was a kid, I just felt like my entire life had been like born on the wrong footing. And some people don't care. Some people don't view themselves or their family as an extension of themselves. So they just go out and they get what they want, and if they want a partner, they'll do that. But it was always like really important to me. So it's hard to feel worth attention or think I can be honest when that would be introducing someone to things that I really don't like. And being online is just another layer of like fractalizing myself when I watch these videos or when I read people's stuff, and it's like, it's not healthy because not only do you get the opinion of the like host, but when you go in the comments and you read 100 different people, and you can kind of conceptualize that they're different people and you can't please all of them. It's just like too many voices to listen to, and try as I might to be like they don't matter. Your brain does rewire, and the repetition does set you off into a new belief. And I think that's one thing I've been learning is how easy it is to like be brainwashed. And being brainwashed doesn't just mean like the perfect scenario of brainwashing. Like, you're brainwashed every day you get online. And there's this culture of calling people NPCs, especially in like the conspiracy, like spiritual communities. But I see us being brainwashed every day because different things influence all the time. So at one point you can be into astrology, and another point you can be red pilled. Like that's like all of that is active brainwashing, because it is implementing new rules and like new standards, new laws to live by. And I think the manosphere avoids criticism for this because they try to be backed up by statistics, and they think they're like scientists. But when you go in the real world, I see it's like I do see what they're talking about, but I guess it doesn't matter. Like, oh, you don't want a fat woman, okay. When I go to work and I see like all these fat women that are married, and it's like, maybe I'm not the perfect unicorn, but I'm probably the unicorn in my workplace, and other people and other women have husbands or children. And maybe they didn't do it right or whatever, but they still have what like my mind gets in the way of. And I've been through so many different communities in the last couple of years. I guess that's what this all was, just like a lesson in brainwashing and like self brainwashing myself, just to understand like how it happens. And you always have to say, like, there's more to the story. That isn't all about my family. That's not all I have to say about my parents, but that's enough. I really don't like thinking about them hard, and I try not to be introspective, but you can't help it because the more time passes, the more things change, the more you have to look back on, and it kind of is like what, like why did I choose that? Like how did this happen? And then even though I'm like this age, I can still come up with new conclusions. Like I didn't really think about the fact that, you know, I was never a careerist. It's just a matter of survival. I never disliked stay-at-home moms. It's just I never thought it was a possibility. So to have it thrown in your face that, you know, you used up all your time, and to be told that you need to be accountable for that, it's like sometimes life happens so fast. Sometimes life just happens, and it wasn't, you know, women aren't like evil masterminds. I've been around enough women and girls growing up. We were never like, here's how we get back then. It just, I don't remember us like coming up with these plans. Everyone just lives. Like I was just trying to get through depression and take care of myself. I wasn't. My life isn't a political movement. But while I'm just recording, I wanted to mention like I think the reason that um, millennials in particular, and I guess Gen Z now, we behave so mentally ill is maybe there's just a capacity for how much your life can take, or your something about your stability can take of hardship, and we've just been overstressed growing up about everything we needed to know, and the pressure of being like the technological generation. Just I think one thing people don't think about is the comparisons of graduating college and or graduating high school. Like we're supposed to know more stuff as time goes on, right? So wouldn't that mean that people in the 2000s would be aiming to learn more than people in the 60s? Like more time has gone by, so more wars have gone by. You have to know more history because more has happened. So that just builds on top of each other. And when you have to learn more, but you're also just like stretched thin. And I feel like in the 60s, the classes were probably very concise, like relevant to your lifestyle, to your life. Like you might have to know like history and politics, but you also did like home economics. Am I pronouncing that right? Home ec? Like, and now there is a lot of fluff, but it's also just, it's like no depth but width. Something like that. And I think the constraints, or how do I want to put this? Okay, before I finish that thought, let me just go back to my family though. Like, I feel like I've also just experienced gaslighting because I've constantly, or I've tried to talk to my mom about this, so like several times, this like deep talk of how her decisions have affected my life, and how I don't support them, and how I can never forgive her. But also, like Jesse Lee Peterson says, you have to forgive your mom, and everybody hates their moms. And I was like, low key true. I feel like that's what misogyny is. Actually, it's women are resentful that they give life, and men are resentful for being born. And I feel like misogyny is just being against the mother, and not necessarily like women. It's just we happen to be the life bringers. So yeah, I think I've just been gaslit my whole life, or the not being validated because my mom can't hold accountability for shit. So not even a small thing. So um, to know as a child that everything was done wrong, and to continue growing up and kind of, I realized that I already kind of counted myself out as a teenager. I just realized that like our social standing, our financial standing, the genetic situation, like I just never felt like I was going to achieve that much. Like I knew, even though I probably not didn't think about it this way, that I probably had like a set IQ directly from my parents. So thankfully my dad's like a little smarter, but he's also just like a worthless human being. But so that doesn't count for much, but it does help. Yeah, I think millennials just kind of got burnt out by the stress of so much not mattering, and you just had to know everything. And I don't think we knew anything, but it's just like the stress that was what was being told is like you just have to be technologically advanced. You have to be technologically ready. You have to go to college, and I think we're like the first group where it's like you have to. It's not enough to go to college. Like it's better to get a master's. It's better to get the most college. You have to do all the extracurricular activities, and like your parents are like if they're married, it's falling apart. Like everything's kind of falling apart at the same time, and then you have such like internal struggles of adjusting to this literal like new reality. Um, that your like hardship capacity is taken before it's used for something useful, like fighting in a war or like a real hardship. You're already in your head so much like fighting all this, the anxiety of doing things, of the pressure of being people, of being more, and like for women or the girls at that time, just I'm sure there was like psychological. Um, I'm sure there's something in our bodies that's just like all this knowledge is useless, and just the stress of not being able to nurture or be um, given room in natural instincts or capabilities. The stress of being brainwashed, basically. All your energy goes into that. That you just don't have the capacity for real hardship, and um, I think people create these phantom issues or cling to this victimhood narrative because they believe it will shield them for further hardship. It's like if I plainly say out loud and to everyone and announce that I have all these mental illnesses, like life will give me a break and ignore me, and then I'm passed on like the next hardship. The next hardship tally. I don't know. It's like life putting like a scoop of hardship in each of our bowls, and people think that if they just announce how hard they already have it, that life will be like, oh, okay, like never mind, like you had your fill, never mind. Or other people will say that. So the trick to making life easy is to constantly talk about how life is hard, so then other people will help you, and or or you can soothe yourself into not trying because you think like, oh, like my life has been so hard, so like I can't get a real degree, and I can't work a hard labor job because I've already been so disadvantaged that you know I can possibly do that. Yeah. I shouldn't work hard, or I shouldn't have to work hard because I've already been so drained. One thing that's hard to really know and compare though is just in general, I feel like there's so many instances where we talk about, things are better then, now they're worse now, or things are better now, they're worse then, and we'll compare like the 1950s. It's usually the 1950s or the 1960s, and I just think like, are we really using real antidotes? Like, I just feel like half the time it is such a parody of what we're using, and we're talking about not what really happened, like real people, but what we learned. So people's image or perception of the 1950s will be movies, will be little advertisements, will be TV shows. It's like you have to realize that we don't know those times, and you can't use entertainment as documentary to an extent. Like, I really just wish that we could talk about life as it happened and had more people communicate the realities than this kind of like collage we make using the pop culture and kind of going by like songs and movies and books and fashion and thinking we can just clearly continue assessing things that way. And like the manosphere, for example, saying, things are better in the 1950s and people do their roles, and half of them like don't even talk to their grandparents or their great grandparents, or they have some issues with their families too. And it's like, if everything was so grand, like, wouldn't you just be worshiping your grandparents right now? And, get them on the show. Like, why are you talking? Let your grandparents host your podcast. They know what we need to know. All you do is hate the future. And I think my last point for this video is the belief that intellect is superior and that everything would be better if, I don't know, like the average person was, should I just say like 130 IQ? And how did I put this? How did I rate this? Can society function with only smart people? Or the belief that society would function better with only smart people? Here's what I think would happen. If we upped the base level of intellect, the smart people would just become dumb. And then the super smart people would be the smart people. And I don't know, like, I think people just imagine it would be like Roman Greek philosophers' time, and we would all just like walk around with robes and talk about just interesting things and smart people stuff, and but you just constantly have to one up each other with new ideas and like commentary. One podcast that I recently found was let me look it up. And it's not even that I understand everything. It's just I just feel the need, because I can listen to things as I work. Sometimes I need a break from music, and I don't listen to, or since I just have less interest, I don't know. I guess I just like listening to people ramble on sometimes, and I'd rather it be intellectual than like pop culture. From the New World is a podcast I'm listening to, but so right now in the middle of Jacob Siegel, A Friendly Quarrel Amidst Post-Liberal Dystopia. So isn't that so intellectual? I don't even understand half the stuff they're saying. I don't even want to understand it. I mean, I have no problem not understanding. It's kind of just like, oh, like I recognize words. That's cool. Because I just have I have like a whole universal belief, and basically this is all just hologram dream. But that's for another day. Yeah, just like the belief that things would be better if all the smart people were in charge, or everyone was smart, and that also just usually claims that certain intelligences, see, I'm just a retard, so, and I will claim that gladly if it lets me get away with mispronouncing things. Intelligences. Certain intellect is better than others. Are better than others? Wow. Basically, I think people would be bored. I don't think it would be utopia. I think people would be bored, and it'd be worse because if you were smart, but you said like less smart thing than the most smart people, it would almost be like you were dumber. And also, like, who is smart? Because I watched a lot of smart people be brainwashed and propagate brainwashing for millions of people to get untested vaccines. And no one's talking about the consequences of that. So being smart is not being good, which you would think is like, haven't we covered that? But just when you get into these like statistical spaces and everyone thinks they're a genius, and there's a lot of things that do gross me out about society right now, but I don't think I'm a misanthrope. I just don't think about people that much like that. I don't know, like, I feel like you're just constantly thinking about the people you hate. Kind of just take it for what it is. There's 8 billion people in the world. It's just like there's so many people in the world, and there's so many things that need to get done. And not everyone can be smart, because we need even the stupid hamburger flippers to do their jobs to really make this world function. So, on one hand, do I wish standards were higher? Yes. On the other hand, did any of us ask to be? I don't know. I just try to live with grace. I think we need more grace. Or we just need to properly divide the states and everyone live in a correct community. We need dystopia, like utopia, dystopia. Everyone submits their application to the correct IQ village. And we can reset. That will be the new world order.